Hi there. As I record this, it's a year since the tragic death of our good friend Marcus Wynne, and I know he has been greatly missed by people all over the world who either knew him personally or through his writing. So I just want to record a few thoughts I've had over this weekend about Marcus and his passing. As I've said before, I first met Marcus in Detroit in 1988. Lofty and I were over there to present our bodyguard course, our first BG course over there. And Marcus came, we were on the balcony of the course hotel, and Marcus, in his very personable way, came over and introduced himself to me, and quickly found we had several things in common. We were both fans of Milch-Sparks holsters. At the time, Marcus was carrying a SIG P220 45 in his, and we both spent time in Japan, and we were both into the martial arts, and we had a good chat. And as a result, Marcus, who was at the time working for National Security, organised and hosted our second course, 1989, in Minneapolis. And one of the things that we did, while some of the other staff were presenting topics, Marcus and I went to the range and we actually built a killing house together. And it was very successful. And he also procured a full-size bus for the guys to train bus option on. So it was a really groundbreaking course. So we did the bodyguard course, and this was a 2-day for people in the anti-terrorist field. So we kept in touch for a while, mainly through the mail, but then Marcus kind of disappeared into the unknown, and I found out later he was going through the hiring process for the Federal Air Marshal program. And the next time I heard from him, I got a call from him, and he was in London with the team. It was a Sunday, and they were flying out, but he was coming back on the Wednesday. They were out in the Far East and then returning. And they've been flying for several weeks all around the world. So I went down to London to the team hotel and met them as they came in from the airport. And I'd already met Warren. Warren had come on that anti-terrorist course, and I'd kept in touch with him. And I met Scotty for the first time. And it was very interesting. And then subsequently, Marcus invited me down to their training facility, Marana, where he was the lead tactics instructor for a class going through the air marshal training. And that was very, very interesting. After Marcus left government service, we trained together quite a bit. In the United States, we did several courses. I also brought him over to the UK twice. We also worked together in Scandinavia and in South Africa. And one of the things that Marcus did was introduce me to neuro-based training, NLP, which I pursued and got to train with Richard Bandler and incorporated it into the kind of training I was presenting. But Marcus was always the leading researcher in that topic, and his stuff was always groundbreaking, culminating in the book he published not too long really before his death on neural-based training. And I've had a lot of inquiries about the notes that he had amassed and his research for the follow-up book, which he had announced. And unfortunately, all that material is password protected in his hard drive, and it's not ever going to be able to be recovered. So unfortunately that material is lost. However, the existing book is still so far ahead of the field of what anyone else has produced that it is the standard work on that subject, and I recommend it. I'll be putting a link to it. Of course, Marcus wrote several fictional books, thrillers as well, and among my favourites are Air Marshals, which was actually his first book but was published later, which was set around the time of how the Air Marshal program functioned when he was in it. Also, No Other Option, his original title was Off the Reservation, which was probably his best known work and the work that got him most recognition. Really terrific and full of very factual, tactical material. A lot of thinly veiled real people in there as well. And then With a Vengeance, another book where there's quite a few real people. And as I've said before, it has the best depictions of close quarter combat that I've ever read in a thriller. Just an interesting anecdote. Marcus, Scotty and I were hanging out in Minneapolis at one time. We'd been doing some courses and we were kind of decompressing, and Linden Hills, where Marcus lived, was a very, very nice, very relaxed kind of yuppie area in a way. Lots of cafes, pavement cafes, and lots of very, very nice places to have a coffee. And we were sitting outside a place called the Turtle Bread Company, and all three of us were wearing our Banana Republic ops vests and carrying various kinds of lethal equipment. And Marcus just laughed and he said, "You know, guys, the people just don't realise what's among them." And that was the spark for the opening of Brothers in Arms, his second major thriller. And whenever I read that scene, I always think back to those times. So we're thinking of Marcus this weekend with very, very fond memories. He's no longer with us, but his writing lives on. All his books are still available, and if you haven't read them, I would urge you to get hold of them. And meanwhile, Marcus is up there in Valhalla, and our thoughts go up there to him.